All right, welcome everybody to today's call. I am super excited to have the beast that is Ben Greenfield on with us today, and just getting to know and learning kind of Ben's story. And I mean, beast is just the word that comes to mind. So I can see the look on your face.
You make me sound animalistic, like I'm crawling around on all fours, chewing grass and howling at the moon.
That was not what I was thinking. I mean, beast in overachiever, getting crazy amounts of stuff done and pushing the limits of what is possible. And I think throughout this interview, people will come to discover that and appreciate that as well. So very cool. So Ben has a whole bunch of stuff he's doing. We'll get into a lot of it, but basically kind of exemplifies somebody who's really found their money pillow. Ben works a little bit more than most of the people that we've had on and talked to, but these are all things he's passionate about and excited about. But ultimately, at the end of the day, earns a great living doing what he's excited about and what he's passionate about. So, there's the old saying, when you love what you do, you no longer have to work. And I think we'll discover Ben, for the most part, has truly found that. So, Ben, and your main site, if you guys want to go check out Ben, I'll put a link to this below on the website. It's bengreenfieldfitness.com. My first impression when I landed on it was that he'd done over 240 podcasts, and through talking right before we started, he's told me he's done many more. So without any further ado, Ben, how are you, man?
I'm good, dude. I'm good. I've got a belly full of pad thai right now. And I guess the only thing that's missing is my glass of wine. I forgot to grab that before the interview, but aside from that, I'm good. So I'm a 9 on a scale of 1 to 10 right now.
If you want to go grab your glass of wine, we can edit that out.
That's all good.
Okay, all right. So very cool. So tell us a little bit about Ben and what your daily life's like.
Well, I. Up until about 5 years ago, when my kids were born, was a personal trainer and an exercise physiologist. And that means that I had some gyms and studios spread across Spokane, Washington, and Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. I trained people from 5 a.m. until 9 p.m. I had an exercise physiology and a biomechanics laboratory, meaning that I did nerdy blood lactate tests and VO2 max tests on folks, and run gait analysis and bike fits, and loved doing this stuff. Like I'm a total nerd when it comes to fitness and nutrition and helping people out in that respect. But I mean, it was a lot of hours, and I realized that when we found out that we were pregnant with twins, I could not be gone all day at my little gyms and studios, and I had figured out already at that point that I had to outsource stuff, and I had interns from local universities working for me, and I was making a really good living. Like I was pulling in close to $200,000 as a personal trainer, which for that profession is decent.
Decent? I would think that's like the top 1%.
It is, and I was also nominated as the top personal trainer in the nation by the NSCA, and so that helped me out as well, because it gave me a lot of visibility in my field. But still, that's work. That's hours. That's time when you're strapping on your shoes at 5 a.m. in the morning to get in the cold car and heat it up and drive and meet somebody, and be standing there wishing you had a cup of hot coffee and a warm breakfast, and instead you're eating a protein bar and standing there barking orders at somebody doing crunches on the floor. And there's a chapter in everybody's life, and after a few years I realized that, especially with my kids coming up, I needed to be done with that chapter.
Awesome. So the kids were kind of the catalyst that shifted your mindset towards building what you have now. Is that right?
Absolutely. Because I could get home at night and hang out with my wife and whatever, and it was good, and we had a good relationship. Once you throw kids into the mix, I mean, I wanted to see my kids grow up. So I totally launched into the .com lifestyle. At that point, I had one book that I sold online, so I kind of sort of had, it wasn't total switch over for me. I had a shopping cart, I had a credit card processor, and I had a website. I was already collecting email addresses, So I had the base platform in place to really launch a .com type of lifestyle. Um,
You had a little taste of that. I mean, just so you
yeah,
were making about 200 G's from the gym. How much was the book generating in revenue on an annual or monthly basis?
the book sold for $17, and at the end of the day, when I'd log in after a day of personal training, I'd sold maybe 5 or 6 copies.
And it
So
was you self-published it, is that right?
total self-publishing. So it was a combination of CreateSpace and Amazon.com. I had a bunch that were also printed and sent up to me, and I drove around to gyms and dropped them off at gyms and GNCs and places like that, and they'd sell them for me, and total labor of love type of thing.
Yeah. But you were
Really,
still bringing in about 1,500 a month, roughly, something around there.
yeah. I mean, it was making money. It made me realize that this was possible. Um,
Right.
but I needed a high end product. I needed something that was going to really put food on the table and pay the mortgage and the car and everything like that. So what I did was over about 6 months, as I worked on beginning to phase out my clients, refer them to other local personal trainers, sell off my gym equipment, start to kind of pull the rug out from under myself in that respect. I began to work on a product specifically in the triathlon market, which is my passion. At that point, I was already doing Ironman triathlon, loved the sport, still love the sport, do a ton of it. But I created a
And
program.
just you
Oh, go
do. You
ahead.
were telling me earlier you do one Ironman a year, and I think a lot of people don't realize this because I was pretty active riding a bike, running, and swimming, and I didn't realize until someone told me about a year ago that an Ironman, what is it? It's a 100-mile bike ride, a
I'll give you props, dude.
marathon,
It's 112 miles.
112 miles.
It's
Jesus.
it's a 2.4 mile swim, 112-mile bike, and then a marathon at the end of that. And
I mean
my,
that's beast mode right there.
yeah, I try and do it in 9.5 hours. That's my kind of time that I shoot for. I'm not a professional. I am one of the top amateurs in the world, but don't do it for money. I don't get a paycheck when I cross the finish line at most races.
So
Um,
that's not your main focus. Or I'm sure you would probably be one of the top professionals if you dedicated all your time to that, just doing that.
that's a rough gig. That's a
Yeah.
lot of time spent rubbing your crotch raw in a bike saddle to be a professional. But I
I'm
do love the sport. Nothing for me replaces the thrill of training, and then the even greater thrill of being on the starting line and having that endorphin release. It's the closest thing you're going to find to just like going to battle.
oh
When you're out
God,
there
tell me about it.
training
Yeah.
away with folks, and yeah, it just keeps me alive. I love it. I absolutely love it. It's a great sport with great people. It's one of the fastest growing sports in the world. The average income of a triathlete is $171,000. So
Wow.
there's a living to be made selling training plans and books and gear and things like that to people in the industry as well.
Okay,
Um,
so to back up, you spent 6 months working on a product specifically for triathletes. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was called the Ironman Triathlon Dominator, and it was designed for specifically busy people, type A personalities, CEOs, people who wanted and had the dream to cross the finish line of an Ironman triathlon, but limited amounts of time to be able to achieve their dream without neglecting their careers, their family, their other hobbies, and their life. And so I created a program that allowed you to do an Ironman in anywhere from 8 to 12 training hours per week versus the average 20 to 30 hours of training per week. And I launched that during the week of Ironman Hawaii, which is like the Super Bowl of triathlon when everyone has their eyes on triathlon, anyone who's interested in
Sure.
it. So I bought ads. I had built up a little bit of a list at that point by running my blog and writing articles on triathlon. I brought a bunch of affiliates on board through ClickBank. Launched the product, made about 60,000 during Ironman Race Week, and that was kind of the final step for me in terms of realizing that I could actually quit my day job, so to speak, and move home and start working from home in my boxers. And
And actually having time to be with your wife and kids, the newborns.
I've watched my kids grow up every day. I mean, unless I'm traveling, going to a conference, or I'm at a triathlon or something like that. Literally, so we homeschool our kids. So I'm with them, teaching them science and math and geography and learning. And then, when they wake up every single morning, I'm there. I I have a standing workstation that's right next to the kitchen table. So when my wife's homeschooling the kids, I'm standing there listening to them learn, and we can snuggle
Absolutely.
up on the couch at any point during the day and read a book. I get to put them to bed at night. We go out and ride bikes in the afternoon, and it's the life that I wanted. I wanted to see my kids grow up and be a formative part of their life, and not have daddy disappear at 5 a.m. to go to the gym, and be home at whatever, and
Yeah,
so
no, it's funny you mentioned that, and just I have a lot of friends who actually have jobs, and oftentimes they're gone for 10 days, 2 weeks, on assignments, and it's
yeah,
just and I get their kids play softball with my kids, and I go to the games, and it's just like you know several of them that are on that team, the dads are absent for more than half the games, and
yeah.
I couldn't fathom it. But I know a lot of people listening are probably in the listening or watching us are probably in the same boat, so. It's pretty impressive though, man. You were earning a couple hundred grand, and in 1 week brought in about a third of that through your first kind of forte into getting into to publishing something digital and putting it out. I assume it was digital. I'm not really sure, but
Well, it was digital and print, so I had that was actually not print on demand. That was a crap load of boxes of the product sitting in my garage combined with digital product. So I did have a lot of shipping to do. I took on an assistant until we actually got everything shipped out from the initial launch phase, and since then I've moved on to more done for you solutions. But yeah, I mean the hard copy of the product sold for $197, and that was literally shipping from my garage via media mail. Drop offs at the post office twice a week. So
wow. Okay. All right. So let's kind of rewind back a little bit to your story. So we're 6 months in. Have you completely sold off the gyms and gotten completely out of that business so the revenue is cut, or where? How does
well,
that
it
work at
was
this
it
point?
was another couple of months after I launched that product and kind of had a good chunk of money in the bank, and at that point I completely cut loose. So,
Got it. So
you
eight
know,
months, 8 months after you had kind of your epiphany
yeah,
moment.
yeah. So it was
This is
inside
before.
of a year that I pulled the plug on everything.
Got it. And the kids at this point are newborns when that's finished and done, or
So they would have been they're born in March, so that would have been so they were 9 months old
when
when
everything was
when
finally said and
everything
done.
was
Okay.
when I was actually home full time. Yeah.
Awesome. And then, so this product that you launched, was this something, you earned 60 grand that first week? Were there, I know because it was on ClickBank, I assume there was ongoing sales,
Yeah.
and then you also had your book running. So let's just take it from 6 months to the 9 month mark. Did those 3 months, instead of earning roughly 1,000, 1,500 a month from your book, did you continue to get additional income from the product sales of the course?
Yeah. So I set this up in what I would consider to be a smart way, and the way I advise people to set up their programs. So I had options for purchasing supplements within the program from people with whom I'd formed affiliate relationships for continued, royalty income on the products that these people were purchasing. Um,
And just in case somebody listening doesn't know what that means, basically what Ben did was found other people that had the products and recommended those products to his audience through the course. And then when people would actually purchase it by clicking on a link in it, Ben would get credit for that. The supplier would ship that out and then just cut Ben a check. Is that right?
exactly. Yep. Exactly. So either a check or a PayPal deposit or a direct debit deposit into the bank account. And then in addition to that, I had continuity income in the form of people being upsold to forum access for forum support on the plan. So I think at that time that was like $8 a month that I was doing, but I had a fair share of people opt into that as well. So
When you said
forums.
upsold, that means when somebody purchased the product before they got access, there was, hey, here's a special
Yeah.
offer for $8 a month. You can
So
get into the forum.
exactly, and everybody that purchases gets on an email autoresponder list. So I'm not actually physically upselling these people. This is all in place when the product is launched. The other thing that people get upsold into is high-end coaching with me. Now, when I first launched that, I launched my high-end coaching at $400 a month. My high-end coaching is now $4,000 a month. I've kind of scaled it up. But what it comes down to is that the value of one customer went way above and beyond the $97 digital or the $197 physical, and I was able to spin that off into a lot of different kind of income streams. So I have no clue how much money that product made, but I
What do you
mean,
think ballpark your monthly revenues looked like in
it's
those first 3 months after
that.
launch? You know, the time you exited from the training.
Oh my! I doubled my annual income easily in that year after I quit.
Got it. So
So
okay, we'll just go the
so
whole year. So you doubled it.
yeah. So
And
I
did you
was
did you think that was possible when you made that leap, or was it just I need to get to where I was before, and I hope I can do it. I really don't know because I'm not
right.
that versed in it, but I have an idea. I mean,
My goal was 5 figures a month. I figured if I could do that I'd be happy. Um,
so even if you took a 50% pay cut, you'd still be fine. You'd be able to get by.
yeah, exactly. Because I wasn't
And
working as many hours. I mean, for me, I'm happy with that. So you're also looking at cost of living being lower. You're not leasing gyms and studios and stuff like that, and so.
God,
Um,
so you obviously far surpassed that goal of just getting to 5 figures. Anything above that, great, and you doubled your income.
right.
And this is when 2005, is that right?
No,
No, I'm sorry,
this would
2008. I'm
have
doing my math.
been what 2008. Yeah, so between 2008 and 2009.
Okay, and that's awesome. So then, what came next? Was it just all just focus on this product, do another product launch, generate more revenue, or what was the?
I rinsed, washed, and repeated that for several other products in the triathlon industry, and since then in the fitness business industry, in the fitness slash fat loss industry. So once you have that model, you can replicate it. So I've done that. At least once a year, I'll launch a similar product, and of course, these are evergreen products. So occasionally for some of them, I'll put out a 2.0 or whatever, or
Right.
add on to the plan and re-release. But ultimately, creation of new products, which for me is just part of my whole ADD thing. I'm constantly just trying out new things and seeing stuff that I like, stuff that I want to teach people about, stuff that I want to make people's lives better with, and figuring out how to package that and produce it and put it into the hands of folks. So I'm happy. I was telling you this before our call. Like my goal is to equip as many people as I can with the knowledge of how to achieve their goals, how to defy the status quo of what we accept as the norm for health, for performance, for what the body and the mind is capable of. And I'm very, very happy putting those tools into people's hands and getting paid for it. So a lot more content production. I've shifted in the past few years to really focusing more on podcasting as the primary method by which I'm getting the word out about the products that I'm creating. In the
And are you
past,
finding that to be
what's that?
effective or more effective than what you were doing previously?
Previously, I was doing more article content, so freelance writing in magazines as well as writing for e-zine articles and articles in the triathlon industry or websites in the triathlon industry. I still write for some magazines. I do some stuff for the Huff Post and for some larger websites as well as my own website. But in terms of trust relationship with the customer and getting someone to know me as a coach, as a teacher, as a producer, nothing surpasses podcasting except perhaps video. But
It's the visual element.
the
Yeah.
video is just, it takes more time. You gotta do your hair. You gotta look good, set everything up, and then the other part about video is just like it's higher bandwidth. I don't think I'm as good with video as I am with audio. And podcasting for me has just been magical in terms of really being able to get my message out there. It's all a freemium model, really. I've got a few podcasts that people pay a little bit of money for via membership websites, but mostly it's all freemium. I put podcasts out there, and iTunes and podcast downloads. It's huge. I mean, with my podcasts combined, every month I get almost 250,000 downloads. And I consider those to be similar to subscribers. You think of those the same way as you do email subscribers. Those are unique downloads. So
Right.
that's a lot of people putting on earbuds, listening to you between their ears while they're out, whatever, cycling or running or working out, in my listeners' cases, and they're getting to know me and getting to know my products and what I recommend. Um, you know, when I'm at where what I'm doing, traveling around the globe, doing triathlons, you know, going in and teaching at a fitness conference or something like that, and somebody walks up to me and they know who I am and they say, Ben, I feel like I know you, and they're talking to me about stuff, you know, I've been podcasting about. You don't get that from articles really, and so
I
it's
know, yeah.
huge. So
And from a traffic standpoint and customer acquisition, it's been incredibly fruitful in comparison to some of the other activities.
yeah, it's tough to put a number on like an opt-in or a purchase from a product. I do have a required "How did you hear about us?" part on my shopping cart, and I could probably go do the metrics on it and figure it out. But you know, if I go in there and I actually start to scroll through orders and stuff, there's a ton of people that have clicked podcast in terms of where they heard about us. So
That's awesome. All right, so I want to hear. Can we dig in just a little bit more your journey
yeah,
from that first year and just get a little bit more detail? So you doubled your income essentially the first years. Was that what we said? Is that a fair assumption, or is
yeah,
that correct?
yeah,
So and this is so funny. You know what? I hear this all the time, Ben. People are so scared to make change in their life,
hmm
and more often than not, typically that change ends up resulting in something that far exceeded their expectations and obviously created a much better life or lifestyle. And that's why they kind of went into it to begin with. So, I
yeah.
mean,
But
you're just,
you have to strategize. I mean, like I had this whole thing planned out. I mean, I had the back end income on the product planned out. I mean, you when you jump off a cliff, you should preferably be, you know, kind of eyeing where you're going to land and maybe wearing one of those squirrely bat costumes or a parachute. I mean, like you gotta kind of have everything planned off. It's not like you just jump off a cliff and hope you land on a trampoline. I mean,
exactly. Yeah. And if I think for those that typically fail, they're the ones that jump without the squirrely bat suit or a parachute. And,
yeah,
yeah, so I think it's crucial being strategic about it, being calculated, having a plan. Obviously, and oftentimes you probably deviate far from your plan, but having that framework will
yeah,
obviously get you a whole lot further than being very vague about what you want to do and your goals and whatnot. So you ended up over the course. How many years? So it seemed like every year you kind of launched a product. Did you continue to see your income rise? Did you have dips? Did your first product, quit selling and then you had to hustle to get new ones, or what was that path like for you? Was it a constant ramp up, or?
you know, it's a gradual ramp up, and what I've found is that there's never been like this Oprah moment, you know, like this all of a sudden, you know, you're making millions or something like that. You know, right now I make $50,000 to $60,000 a month, um, selling my products and doing the podcasting and the content production.
Jeez,
So
man.
that's what it's at right now. Um, my goal really was to be closer to the million mark by now, and obviously I'm not there. Um,
Dude,
but
you gotta start
it's gradually
hustling.
ramped up. I'll probably be there next year, and I'm continuing to do what I know works. And probably the biggest change that I've made since that initial product is trying to bring more and more people on board, just because, you know, I was writing my own HTML and producing my own websites and doing a lot of my own customer support. So now I've got a team doing a lot of that for me, so I can focus on doing what I have a passion to do. But that's been the biggest change for me is ramping things up without producing extra work for myself.
Got it. Yeah, and I think that most of us fall victim to that. We get so excited and we see the potential and we just dive head first because the rewards are so great that it's not that challenging. But then you end up just overworking yourself, and
Right.
that's been a key moment, for me as well. Just being able to delegate and find great people, and then entrusting members on my team. So I can I can go surf anytime I want, and or I can be with my wife and kids anytime I want because somebody else is actually doing the work. So yeah, I think that's a big lesson. You've obviously probably read the 4 Hour Work Week.
Yeah, I have. I like Tim Ferriss. I love all his stuff. So 4 Hour Chef and 4 Hour Body. He's got a great brand, and he's certainly a guy that I watch when it comes to product launches and content production and
Nice.
things like that. So I think
Jeans, yeah.
that I doubt that Tim actually works 4 hours a week. I don't really know him personally. He's been on my podcast a couple of times, but we don't hang out or anything. But I do think that he and I have a similar mindset in terms of we love to teach and So I like to watch teachers and see what they're doing, especially teachers who are making a big difference like he does. So.
Dude, it's amazing. Yeah. He, when I read that 4 Hour Work Week, his story about how he left his business because he was having a mental meltdown, and then how things actually accelerated and improved when he wasn't there, that was a big eye opener for me.
Yeah.
And it's kind of been a big lesson for me going forward. So you just have to learn to trust people and get over that controlling that ends up making most of us work our asses off when
Yeah.
90% of the tasks we're doing, somebody else with moderate skills could be doing.
Yeah.
And so, all right, so very cool. So you've gone over the course of 5 years. You now have how many? I mean, this is probably something you probably can't even tell me offhand, but roughly how many products do you have out there? Because you told me before we got started, I think that you are a big fan of multiple streams of income, which I think is huge because a lot of people that I've talked to have really one channel. And it's just a really, I don't want to say risky model.
Sometimes I wish I had one channel, but I'm always thinking of things I want to create and then creating them and kind of shoving them out of the nest and letting them fly and then moving on to the next thing. And that's just, I don't know, man. That's what makes me happy. So that's how I roll.
I got it. Yeah. So are you with roughly now how many? I mean, I know you have a million different income revenue streams coming from all the different affiliate stuff that you do, coming from your courses, but from your core, how many courses do you have now? How many products do you have? Not including the hard good stuff or the physical products, but just the courses that get people kind of into the whole back end and the funnel and whatnot.
You mean the free products or the information products I sell?
The information products you sell.
I don't know.
I knew you were going to say that.
I could.
You're such a beast. You have so many products that you don't even know.
Well, I have. I'm pulling up my page right now just to check. There's a section on bengreenfieldfitness.com where I've tried to keep track of a lot of my stuff. Because I do a lot of private label supplements too, and also membership websites and stuff like that. But the stuff that doesn't count for that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 on this page.
Yeah, and there's probably 3 that aren't on that page because you're not updating
or something. There might be a few more, but yeah. So, 15,
and then that,
20-ish.
Let me ask you, ballpark, from those products, how much of your income comes from the front end sales of that stuff? Would you say a third, half?
I have no clue.
No clue.
I'm just going to be straight up and honest with you. I'm really crappy with keeping my finger on the metrics. I could go find that out, but I'd rather.
It's irrelevant. It's really irrelevant.
I'd rather go push my kids around the neighborhood, and as long as there's money coming into the bank account, I honestly have no clue.
Got it. So. Okay. And this is, I just was kind of curious because I wanted to get in and talk about some of the supplement stuff and the hard goods and the physical products that you sell and kind of what that added to the business. We were chatting briefly right before we started. You have a lot of supplements that you sell that are part of all the courses, and you're now moving towards a model where, well, actually, just tell me about that from the process where you were affiliate to bulk to now what you're getting ready to do.
Yeah, so initially I'd find things that I liked, products that were things that I personally used and had found to be incredibly effective, and things that didn't have a bunch of processed, filler crap and heavy metals in them and stuff like that. And initially, this is where I started early on, is I would call people that made that product and I'd be like, hey, I'll tell my clients and the athletes I coach about your product, but can you send me some free product that I could use every month, in my own training? So I don't think I even mentioned this, but I was a bodybuilder in college, and so my first such relationship was with ABB Bodybuilding, where it was just protein shakes. And so they'd send me protein shakes, and I'd tell my clients about it, and my clients would buy those protein shakes. And then I realized, as I came early on to learn about this whole affiliate thing, that rather than just telling my clients about that product, I could tell my clients about that product and give them my, unique affiliate code or my unique affiliate link. And so I started embedding that in the products that I was creating. From there, I started forming a relationship with these folks to where I would actually take the payment from the client in my shopping cart and then I had just a basic API, just a special code that was essentially on the thank you page of my shopping cart that would go out and send a message to that manufacturer of the product that says, hey, Ben's client such and such just ordered a product. Here's their address. Here's what they ordered. Here's the description. Send it out, and that manufacturer kept my business credit card on file and would simply invoice me at the end of the day, at the end of the week, or at the end of the month for my wholesale cost of the product plus shipping.
That's so brilliant.
And that works well, but then you've got like 5 to 10 different folks that you work with because you're always constantly finding new products and making new recommendations. So somebody goes in and orders, and all of a sudden they've got like $30 in shipping costs, right? Because they've got stuff shipping from Florida, California, and New York, and they're totally screwed if your client lives in New Zealand or Australia or something like that.
Sure.
So I had to start to tackle this, and what we're doing now is we get everything shipped to one warehouse in Pennsylvania. And so I order bulk, so there has to be a little bit of front-end cash flow in order to use a model like this. But I order bulk based off of a spreadsheet that one of my assistants creates on our average amount of products sold each month from each of these different manufacturers. Back when we were doing drop shipping, they ship to that warehouse. I get an even bigger wholesale discount from them because we're buying in bulk now. And then they ship out in one package from that one warehouse. So when you order from Amazon, sometimes you might get like 2 or 3 packages or whatever. And I don't really know how Amazon eats those shipping costs, but I guess they have different fulfillment centers set up throughout the U.S. or whatever. But basically, so we have one fulfillment center now, and that's kind of a process that's been taking place over the past 6 months or so, and we're almost fully shifted to that now for all the supplements specifically.
And your margins by adapting that model. So you have helped your customer out. Made it easier for them, and they probably don't have to do 7 different purchases to get all 7 supplements they want. It's now one purchase where they can have them all in the cart.
And before that, they could do one purchase. Initially they were
because you had it on your API.
Yeah, because on my end, but they're still having I am getting charged shipping from all those different manufacturers. So I'll still make a profit, but my profit is getting eaten into big time by those shipping costs. Because those ramp up pretty quickly. So initially starting with an affiliate relationship, you're looking at anywhere from 5 to 20% affiliate income that you're going to make. You shift to drop shipping, you're going to make 20 to 40%. You start paying all these shipping costs and everything that dumps you back down to like 20, 30%-ish. And then you start shipping stuff yourself, and now you're making 50, 60% on product, and that's kind of that's the next best thing to you having a warehouse yourself, in your hometown that you ship stuff
and from. Everything comes in one box, in one package. And it's one set of shipping fees, which I don't know if you were eating them before or charging them per product.
I was charging my customers the shipping costs. Amazingly, people were paying it. I don't know why. And we had some pretty fat shopping cart abandonment rates.
I can imagine, yeah.
Yeah. With this new model, it really is going to be, I think, a huge game changer for me in terms of in terms of income, kind of taking things to the next level. So.
Yeah, no, I think it's brilliant, and I'm finding this a lot through these interviews that a lot of people will build these successful businesses and then go back and look at different procedures or different elements of the business and then improve them. And then through improving them, oftentimes they're not even driven by increasing profit. Oftentimes it's just different needs or desires to improve it, and then ultimately profit. And ultimately we see that people are able to really increase margins by analyzing how they're doing what they're doing and making some shifts in that regard. So.
And I'm also private labeling stuff now too, which is and that shoves margins even higher. So
got it. Yeah.
I've got a few products that I private label right now, but ultimately,
and when you say private label, essentially you're buying somebody else's product and then sticking your company name, logo, pack, like everything is all you.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's so funny. Who was I talking with the other day? I forget. Maybe it was Matt Clark or somebody who was talking about, or Mike, one of the Mikes from the Brotherhood, but one of them was just talking about the same thing. Like, it's shocking when you call companies how willing most of them are, especially if you've already bought a lot of product from them, to entertain doing a private label.
Yeah.
And doing it, which ultimately is amazing is you can build your own brand at that point.
Yeah.
So, all right, so very cool. So, it sounds like things are crushing for you. You've got $50,000 to $60,000 a month in income and profit coming in. You have total freedom and flexibility. We talked earlier, you kind of chunk your week up a little bit for different tasks where you have basically like 3 days where you assign certain areas to pay attention to certain things and do certain tasks. But for the most part, outside of that, you're free to do what you want, when you want, and you've truly got that lifestyle. Is that correct?
Yep, exactly. So like today, I actually slept most of the day because
Because you can.
I did back-to-back triathlons on two of US's toughest courses on Saturday and Sunday down in California, and got home yesterday and kind of sort of felt okay and hung out with the family and had dinner and everything, and then woke up this morning and just basically kind of lolled around for a little bit and then went to bed and slept. So,
so that's the freedom that you have that you built.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I do not want to give people the impression that like this is about sleeping all day, because I do work, and I do certainly have those days where I wake up and after I hang out with the kids for a little while, I'm podcasting for 2 hours, and then banging out an interview with somebody, and then having lunch with the kids, and then going back to work for another hour or so, grabbing a nap, grabbing a workout, working some more, having dinner with the family, working for another hour after dinner. Like I work in these like sprints. Like I'll sprint for an hour and a half, and then just stop, and then go play, come back, sprint for a little while longer. So that's how I work really well. I do not do well with like I know some people in this space will be they'll go to a Starbucks or a coffee shop or whatever at 9 a.m. in the morning and do their .com lifestyle until 5 p.m. or whatever, and I just have complete ADD. I can't do that. So.
Oh God, that makes two of us, and I couldn't fathom it. To me, that's like a job.
Yeah, exactly.
And is it fair to say that you love what you do, and probably 90% or greater of what you do is something you're excited about actually doing? So if you do work a 20, 30, 40-hour work week, you don't ever, crap, I gotta do this or I gotta do that. I mean, I'm sure y'all have those moments, and no matter what you're doing.
Right. Yeah. I absolutely love what I do. I mean, like I wake up every single morning, and like I have to hold myself back from going and just like starting into producing content and just getting all these ideas that are in my head that are fermenting while I'm asleep, onto paper and everything. And I kind of have procedures now to hold myself back. Like I've got meditation and yoga and heart rate variability testing and pulse oximetry and hanging from my inversion table and all these things I do, like these geeky help things that kind of keep me occupied until until it's actually healthy to start working, and then I'll do some stuff. But yeah, I absolutely love what I do, dude.
Dude, yeah. I mean, you kind of exemplify the exact lifestyle, and what's cool, I mean, you have some specific goals and you're working towards them and you enjoy doing it. Looking back, first of all, for me, it's super impressive at the speed that you went from earning a great income to replacing that income and then exceeding it. A lot of people will work very hard and tirelessly for multiple years earning nothing, and they kind of have that eureka moment. But I think, like you said earlier, you were very strategic and it was very calculated and kind of planned.
And I did, like, I put in some serious, like, ramping up that personal training business and turning that into a successful business. I worked my fingers to the bone. Like, I did all my own marketing and, drummed up all my own clients, did all my own cold calling. Like, I worked really, really hard pretty much through college, because I started when I was in college for, a few years after I graduated. Like that, I literally was a total workaholic,
Right.
So it's not like I never put in the time, but...
Well, no, I can imagine that business.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounded like the 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. was a...
Yeah.
Whew, I mean, you had to work hard, but I'm sure too, or I'm just guessing, when you went from exiting out of that business into selling the information and kind of getting into that world, I'm sure there was a lot of hard work in that time frame too, but What's impressive to me is just at the speed that you went
Yeah.
from, zero or $1,000, $1,500 a month from the book sales to doubling your income. I mean, and did that exceed your expectations looking back on that? Did you foresee that happening at that pace and at that level?
You know what? I'm a really crappy planner. I don't have a business plan. I don't forecast financials or anything like that. So I kind of had no clue. I just kind of throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks.
And brain works. Yeah.
So for me, I didn't really know what to expect. It was just a gamble, and I was happy with the outcome. So,
And you knew though, I mean, ultimately it was something you had to do where you were going to be
oh,
absent
I
from his
I
lives.
knew
And
I knew people in the space who were doing $1 million affiliate launches and stuff like that. Like I could see it happening. I knew what the potential was, but didn't really have like a number that I was shooting for. So
got it. Yeah. Well, man, it's impressive to me, especially after doing a lot of these interviews and finding people that it takes a long time. Um, but I think it just is a tribute to kind of who you are. And I was joking earlier about being a beast, but I mean, I know you probably worked your ass off and made sure it was successful. And a pretty good measure, I think, and result of kind of who you are as a person. And the fact that you went from literally nothing or barely a couple, $1,000 a month to doubling your income in the course of somewhere around a year, that just blows me away. And so looking back on that, or looking back, I guess, on the history, what are some like the biggest mistakes that you've made, that had a major impact and any kind of big learning lessons, if you will?
doing a lot of stuff myself, which you've probably heard before. That's kind of what you hear during all these type of interviews is learn how to let go and have other people do stuff. But I'll definitely throw that one out there. I'll kick that horse to death. I mean, like outsource as soon as you can. And I think just about every business owner thinks they waited too long to outsource, and I still, I feel the same way too. So,
Yeah, I'm definitely one of them as well.
yeah. So that's a biggie. Don't do stuff you don't want to do. I've certainly had clients hire me who I knew from the get go were kind of negative, overly demanding, stressed out type A people who ended up, putting a lot of workload on me. And that's another thing is that usually no matter how much someone is paying you, if they're a negative person who sucks away your energy, I don't think it's worth it.
At
As
all.
far as that's concerned. Don't spend so much time creating a lifestyle or creating a living that you don't actually live or have a life. That's something that's very important as well. Sometimes it is easy to get caught up with work and have a tennis date with my kids at noon and work through that, and then you always regret it. It's like a triathlon. I've had two DNFs in my life where I dropped out of a race and quit because it got too hard or because I thought, you know what, I'm done. I don't want to be out here right now. And the feeling when you get back to your hotel room and sit there and hear everybody else out there playing and crossing the finish line, you feel horrible. And it's
And
never,
DNF stands for did not finish. Is that right?
yeah, it's never ever worth it. And it's kind of the similar thing with work. If you ever have to choose between work and hanging out with your kids or spending time with your family, in my opinion, it's not worth missing out on that experience. So you have to know what's really truly important in life, and that's really like been kind of the whole philosophy of why I formed my business. I mean, really, I formed it to spend more time with my family in terms of the lifestyle that I'm living. And so the decisions that I make are all based around that. How much time is this going to take away from my family?
Yeah, I
Those are
love
some
it.
of
So
the
what you were
biggies.
just said, I think, is crucial. Like going forward, all business decisions basically go back to how is this going to affect my lifestyle.
Yeah, I mean, nobody ever was like standing around at a funeral or, like, you know, remembering who you were and everything and talking about how many products you sold on ClickBank or whatever. They're remembering the great, whatever, the bike ride that they went on with you, or the camping trip, or the time that you spent with them every night, reading them books as they went to bed. That's the kind of stuff that people remember you for, and that's what's really important. So,
Dude, that's a powerful message right there. I mean, I just put my kids to sleep right before we did this, and one of them was misbehaving, and I was going to read her a book, and I decided that she should learn that she can't behave like that and still get her dad's attention and everything she wants. And I still feel awful about teaching her that way, but I mean, you just brought that up and made me think about that. But it is that those are the moments that I live for. That every night it's like I take turns with each kid reading them a book. And
yeah,
I did an exercise recently at a seminar that I went to where it was identify. I can't remember exactly, but what does love mean to you, and what does happiness mean to you, and what does giving mean to you, and going through all of that, it made me kind of realize that like time and giving of your time and being present, those are the things that have the most value in life, and
Yeah.
not how many products you sold on ClickBank,
yeah,
or what kind of car you drive, or the kind of out, nothing. It all boils back down to time and experiences, and
yeah,
I really think that's going to be just a great way to kind of wrap this all up. It's all about building lifestyles and businesses that support a lifestyle, and having your intentions right with your lifestyle and the kind of lifestyle you want to live. I think you end up getting there automatically through building that business and having that mindset. So
yeah, exactly. So don't give up your soul trying to gain the world. That's
yeah.
philosophy to live by.
And it doesn't mean when hard work shows up, ignore it, run the other way. There are always going to be times when you have to sacrifice a little bit here and there.
Yeah.
But being calculated about it and knowing that by maybe Daddy's going to be gone for a couple days at a conference, but the results and the rewards that come from that, not being around are good. So, all right, dude. Well, I am, man, just super impressed with you, Ben, and I'll still call you a beast. I hope that doesn't offend you. Your face kind of funny earlier, but
now that I know what you meant by it, I'll take it.
What's that?
So now that I know what you meant by it, I'll take it.
No, I'm just blown away at at everything, man. At who you are, what you do, the pace you became successful after leaving another successful venture, and just everything. The kind of father you are, your intentions, and how you build your business. It's all very impressive to me. So I'm
Thanks.
Yeah, just super grateful that you came on, and I think this is going to be a very well received interview, and people are going to love it. Where can people connect with you? And we already know it's the bengreenfieldfitness.com.
Yeah, you could just go there, or do a search in iTunes if you're an iTunes person, or Amazon or whatever. And yeah, that's a great way.
Are you on Twitter, or Facebook, or anywhere there socially?
Yeah, I've got the Ben Greenfield on Twitter. If you look me up on Facebook, I've got a page there as well. A fan page and everything like that. So yeah, for sure.
Awesome. And if you're listening to the podcast on the website, we'll put links to all that stuff. So
sweet.
Yeah, dude. Very much appreciate you coming on, and this was an awesome interview. A lot of powerful stuff was covered in this, so I really appreciate it.
Thanks for giving me a chance to say what I had to say, Sean. I just hope it helps a lot of people out. So that's what keeps me happy. So yeah.
That's the whole intention, and I know it will, man. So thanks for being here, brother. I really, again, appreciate you having you on. And with that, I guess we'll go ahead and wrap it up. I'll turn it back to you for any final closing words. If there's any other advice or anything you want to say before we wrap up. I'll put you on the spot.
You put me on the spot. I'm trying to think if there's anything that I didn't really cover. No, not really. Honestly, I'm not. It's later than I usually stay up at this point already. I haven't had my glass of wine still. Thanks to you, Sean.
I know. I'm sorry.
So no, I mean honestly, like I think I'm in a good place with what I shared. So yeah, I'm good.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I know this will be one I'll go back and re-listen to. There were so many good nuggets in it. So again, huge thanks, man. I appreciate you.
Cool. Thanks, Sean.
Thank you.